Hi, we are the Luckers. I am Sam Lucker, and this is Maggie Lucker. And welcome to our YouTube channel, The Luckers. In this YouTube channel, we are hoping to talk about many of our interests, and we're gonna, tell you our thoughts, our opinions. We would like you to share your thoughts and opinions. Just keep it, appropriate and keep the conversation going. And the first topic that we want to talk about, because Maggie and I are extremely big Disney fans, is Disney. So anything that has to deal with Disney.
Yep, we're getting married in a few months, and our wedding theme is Disney.
Yeah, so we are very excited about that. And as we do our wedding planning, we will give you updates on how our Disney themed wedding is going.
Yep. So let's get to our first topic for today.
All right.
So our topic for our very first video is our top 5 favorite Disney animated movies, but it's got a little bit of a twist to it. We both grew up in the 90s, so we each made a list of our top 5 favorite Disney movies, but they have to be animated and from the 90s, and we have not seen each other's lists.
Yes, so it's going to be the first time that we are getting to know the top 5 lists, even though I'm pretty sure I know what your number 1 is. I'll save it for the excitement of this video, but we've been together for 7 years now, and
7 years next week.
7 years next week. Yes, 7 years next week. But I'm pretty sure that I know what your number 1 is. But for the millions and millions of people out there, they don't know. So hopefully you get to learn a little bit more about Maggie and I. So come on the journey with us, and let's get started on this top 5 Disney animated movies from the 1990s. Would you like me to go first?
I think you should go first.
All right,
I
so
want to hear your number 5 spot.
all right, so for the top 5, at number 5, I should say.
Yep.
I have, it's actually a Pixar film because Pixar is owned by Disney. It is Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2? Did that come out in the 90s?
It did. It came out November of 1999, so just barely.
That's made the list.
Yeah.
Why did you pick that one?
Because I remember sitting in the movie theaters. I was with my dad, and I originally grew up in Illinois, and so it was my 2 sisters, Sarah and Emily, and my dad, and we were going to the movie theater, and I just remember it was so crowded and it was very exciting to see it, but there's something about Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. All right,
Yeah.
They're like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, that's literally what I wrote on my list.
Really?
I did. And fun fact, I saw Toy Story 2 for my 3rd birthday. That was my birthday party. We all got to go to the movie theater and watch Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had a giant poster in the back.
And it's about the characters too. You got a cowboy, you have an astronaut, you have a slinky dog.
Yeah.
As you get to know Maggie and I, you're going to know that I am a huge dog lover.
Yes.
I mean, huge.
Yes.
And so, I love anything that has to do with dogs.
Yeah.
And I just love all the characters that they picked.
So
yes.
I have to tell you, my number 5 was Toy Story, but Toy Story 1.
Oh.
Not number 5.
Okay, that is.
Or not number 2. And my reasoning was Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, that I like the 2 of them together. And then the other reason I put on there was that when I was a kid, that made perfect sense to me. You go to sleep, you leave the room, the toys come to life and do things. That's what I thought was happening with all of my toys.
I want to know how they thought of that idea. I mean,
I think every kid thinks that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe we just did because we grew up in the Toy Story world. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, was that? I don't ever remember thinking, "Will my toys come to life?" But then, so.
And I gotta tell you, I don't know if I thought that or Disney trained me to think that.
Correct.
But I do know as a little kid I thought that.
That's what I was about to say. did you come up with that on your own, or did Disney implant that in your
I
head?
think Disney implanted it.
Because like many of us, I think Disney has implanted many ideas into our head of how things should go, and sometimes they don't go that way. But I would like to hope that in my perfect world, it always goes the Disney way.
So what's your number 4?
So my number 4 actually is Toy Story 1.
Because you like it a little bit more than Toy Story 2.
Oh, it's the original. I mean, it's the OG. All right, you can't ever top the OG.
So that's your number 4?
So yeah, so and for the same reasons, I mean, that just made you fall in love with
The
the
original story, where
yes,
he doesn't know he's a toy.
correct. And like it was just, and it was the creation of friendship too, because
Mhm.
you know, toys or excuse me, Woody, was the king. He was the top dog.
Yeah.
And then Buzz came and started to steal his thunder, and a little jealousy came on. And Woody had some growing up to do, and there was a life lesson in there that friendship is more important, and friendships could come out of any type of situation.
And
Um,
then you secretly wanted to write Andy on the bottom of your shoe.
I did, yes. And if you ever go to Disney World, I've heard this. I have never tried it, but if Woody is, you know, walking around, talking to guests, and you scream, "Andy's coming," he will drop to the ground. All right,
You
I,
never told me that.
yeah,
Why didn't we try that when we were in Disney?
I don't know, because there was my roommate in college, his girlfriend worked at Disney, and she told me that information. But I never tried it.
I like that.
So
We need to try that
so
next time we
I'm
go to
I'm
Disney.
curious. The world was different, 10 years ago, so I don't know
Yeah, if it
um
would be the same.
if it still works, but it's something that I would like to try. And if you know if it works, put it down in the comments and let us know. We want to learn just as much as you guys, want to learn about us.
So I'm gonna move on to my number 4. My number 4 is a movie that I think is an absolute Disney classic and had to make the list, and that would be The Lion King. It's a good one, right?
And why did you pick The Lion King?
You're gonna be surprised by my answer. It has one of my all-time favorite villains. I love Scar. Like, I don't think of him as a villain. I don't dislike him. I don't want him to go away at the end. I just really like him. I like the actor that plays him is Jeremy Irons. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't know that before. And I love his voice. And he's just so melancholy and just upset all the time. And I just find him very funny.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of him. He's not one of the ones that scares me. So he is the reason that he made my number 4 spot.
Yeah. So was that your number 4 spot?
That's my number 4 spot. What's your number 3 spot?
So my number 3 spot is Tarzan.
I knew you were gonna pick Tarzan. Is it because of Phil Collins?
Okay, yes. I absolutely love Phil Collins.
Okay.
I mean, is he my top 5 musical artist? No, he's not. But I do enjoy his music. And I think Tarzan has one of the best
Soundtrack.
like Disney soundtracks of all time. I do. And I just,
Even more so than The Lion King with Elton John.
well, I mean, Elton John's just on a whole nother level too. So I mean, Elton John is awesome. I love him as much, if not more. But I just love the soundtrack of Tarzan. Come stop your crying, it will be all right. Like it's just it's the music, it's the words.
Yeah.
I'm a very sentimental man, and it touched me very close to my heart. And like I'm very close to my mom. I am. I love my mom very much. She's very dear to my heart. And in that movie, you just kind of the even though Tarzan was a human, the eighth mom wanted to take care of him. Like she was very motherly to him, and that you know meant something to me because like I said, I'm very close to my mom. So I just it was sentimental to me.
I like that. I like that answer. My number 3 is not as sentimental. My number 3 is Aladdin.
Okay.
And I picked that because I think Aladdin has the best side characters of any Disney movie. You have Abu, who is a monkey but then changes into an elephant. You have the magic carpet. And then, most importantly, you have the genie. And I feel like there is no better sidekick in any Disney movie.
I enjoy Aladdin. Did I put it on my top?
Is it on your list?
It is not on my list.
How is it not on your list?
Because I was going between the Toy Story movies and Aladdin, and I think I enjoy Toy Story more than Aladdin. I mean, yeah. I mean, is it in my top 10 list? Absolutely, it is. I mean, is it, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, absolutely. I love Aladdin. That also has some great music into it.
I also like Jasmine and how she is not your typical princess and she wants to choose. She wants to make decisions for herself. And I like that about her character.
Yes, it was very, in the 90s, it was very, I guess you could say, like, progressive if you want. Like,
yeah, but a lot of people say not nice things about the princesses of the 90s.
Yeah, but she wanted.
I feel like she was a little bit different.
You're right. She wanted to learn. She wanted to understand. She wanted to be. And
she was not a prize to be won.
That's true.
She wanted to make her own choices. So what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is actually Beauty and the Beast.
That's my number
2. Yes. And why is Beauty and the Beast your number 2?
So I like Beauty and the Beast more now than I did as a kid. And I think that's kind of weird. As a kid, I was, could take it or leave it. But as an adult, I really like it. And one of the reasons I love it is because Tale as Old as Time is my all-time favorite Disney song. And I love the Angela Lansbury version. I love that the dance that they do. I love the yellow dress. I love before when the Beast is getting ready and he's in the bathtub and they give him the crazy hairdo and then they're like cutting off all of the little hairs and the bows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic movie. I love the Beast. And again, it just taught you, a lesson in my mind. People, if you treat people right, even the people who have the worst of attitudes or have anger problems, if you are kind to them, if you are caring, if you treat them with respect, they could, you could help, love and change their life again.
So what was your number 1 all time?
Well, before I tell you my number 1, do you want me to tell you my honorary mention or
yeah, your honorary. What's your honorary
mention? All right,
mention?
so my honorary mention, and I made like 3 lists, and I crossed out, like, this is my third top 5 list. I crossed out the first 2 because I was like, should I put this at number 5 or should I make this an honorary mention? And I ended up making it an honorary mention. It's actually the very first Pixar film, and I think it's one of the most underrated Pixar films.
What is it? I thought the first Pixar film was Toy Story. What is the first Pixar film?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it was the second Pixar film. Excuse me. Toy Story was the first. It's the second film that Pixar have ever made. I apologize for that. And I think it's the forgotten movie, but A Bug's Life.
Oh yeah, I like A Bug's Life.
Yeah, and everyone forgets about it. And I
didn't realize it was Pixar.
Yeah, and it was. I just love Flick. I love his little friends that he makes along the way. You know, the carnival, you know, the caterpillar, and they're all like,
He wants to be a butterfly.
yes, he wants to be a beautiful butterfly, and it just makes me laugh. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen the movie in a little while, but no one ever talks about it, and I think it should get more love than it does. And I remember last time I was in Disneyland, maybe 6 years ago, and they had a little section of like a little section dedicated to A Bug's Life, and I was like, oh, that like made me happy. I was like, oh, it's getting, you know, the recognition it should, um, but then they ended up taking it away. And I think I haven't been there since, but I'm pretty sure they replaced it with, you know, in the Marvel area that Disney's California Adventure created. But I think, you know, there should be a Bug's Life ride. You know, I'm calling for Disney to make a Bug's Life ride, because like, how cool would that be to, you know, be a bug?
You want to be a bug?
Yes.
Do you want to ride inside a bug, or what do you want the ride to be like?
I don't know. Maybe you could be kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know, maybe you could be the size of a bug. Cool. You know, and you just go through, and something happens. You know, maybe.
Life as a bug.
Yeah, you gotta go. You know, maybe you gotta battle through Hopper somehow, or you know. Yeah. But yeah, A Bug's Life is my honorary mention. Do you have any?
Solid honorary mention.
Do you have an honorary mention?
I don't.
You do not. All right. No. So my number one then would be The Lion King.
Why is that your number one?
I think I mean, as soon as that music starts in the beginning, just captures your attention. It captures your soul. The music in it, Elton John is in it. I love, you know, lions.
Is Scar part of your reasoning?
I think he is a good villain. I do. I like Mufasa. I like Simba.
Yeah. I get too attached to Mufasa. He's not there long. Okay, so my number one. You want to guess it?
Well, I know if I guess it, I know it's correct. So do you want to tell the YouTube world what it is?
So my number one is not technically in the 90s. It came out in 1989, but much like myself, I was born at the end of 1989, and I consider myself a 90s kid. So I'm going to consider this a 90s movie. Is The Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Are you excited about the live action Little Mermaid?
Yes, and it comes out the day before we get married.
Yeah.
Which I think is fitting, because my engagement ring is the Little Mermaid's ring.
It is. You should show
them. Little Mermaid's ring.
And so, yeah, and we're going to. And why is it your number one? Like what do you love about that movie?
It is my all-time favorite Disney princess, because she is the rebel princess who looks at the world around her and says, I want more, and there's more to this, and I want to go out and explore and make a beautiful life for myself. And it may not have been what she was used to, but she did life on her own terms, and that is why she is my favorite.
So similar to Jasmine a little bit in Aladdin.
Yes, but she created her own world instead.
She did. Yeah, I do enjoy The Little Mermaid as well. I think that has great music too.
It does.
That was during, you know, the heyday of Disney movies, animation.
Well, that's why we picked this topic, because there were so many good 90s animated Disney films. We had a lot of choices.
Yeah, and, you know, just gotta, I mean, is there any 90s? I mean, if I try to think of a bad Disney 90s movie, like none come to my mind. I'm sure there is one.
Yeah.
But you know, that decade that Disney had was just, it was magic that they created.
Very much magic.
So that is our top 5 for me. Honorary mention, top 6, I guess you could say. Disney movies of the 90s, of animation. And I know we included some Pixar movies in there, and that's because Disney bought Pixar and owns it. So we threw Toy Story in there as well. Um, but this is what we're going to talk about, and we're going to have many topics. We're not just gonna we'll talk about Disney a lot, but we'll talk about weddings, as I said. We'll take you on adventures that we go on, and it'll be exciting. We live in the Midwest, so we'll give you some Midwest adventures that we go on. But do you have anything else to say?
No, I think it's time to.
All right. So until our next video, I hope all of you have a fantastic night. And until next time, it's Lucker out.